And in 3, 2, 1, I've got on here the man with 2 first names. How goes it?
Good, man. How are you doing?
Doing well. You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Micahel Williamson. I'm at Metolius, sponsor of the show. Super stoked to be down here. I'm in Portland, so I just drove down for the day.
Nice.
Hang out for a bit.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Do you have, you said you went to Bend recently. Do you someone who drives to go to, like the main thing that Oregon's known for? Like, you can go surf, you can go, like, mountain boarding and stuff. Like, you're, like, the person for it, right?
That's been my entire life. I feel like I live, like, half my life in my Subaru Outback, which is very stereotypical.
Classic. I was going to say, my God, you should be in Colorado, man. That's hilarious.
There was, 3 years ago, I did the trifecta. So drove up to Mount Hood first thing in the morning, got a day at Timberline, snowboarding in July, drove to Cannon Beach Skate Park, skated for maybe an hour and a half, and then got a sunset surf session in.
Nice.
I feel like that kind of encapsulates the free time pretty well.
Absolutely. Score, man. And the way that you got into Metolius and meeting John, who may be the last episode, it may not air for people listening. It was like 40 minutes of chaos with John Galileo from Hyperchange, Mark and Zubair and Kenzie and I. It was chaos. I don't know if it'll air, but he was on just before you, and you met him because you joined Starvups, which as you were driving down, you listened to Katie Brown's episode. She was on the board of Starvups. You made a coat company or something like that?
Yeah, so when I was a sophomore in college, I was going out and I was doing a lot of hiking, doing a lot of snowboarding. May or may not have skipped a lot of class to go snowboarding. Yeah. And I was living just like in the tiniest little dorm room. So small. We had 12 guys in the on-campus house that I was living in. So I had like no space for things at all. Yeah. Also no money for things. Yeah. And so like I was just kind of accruing like all this outdoor gear. Yeah. And like, you know, roommates were kind of complaining because my stuff would be overflowing. Like I had no room to go about. So it's like, do you know what? I just want to make like a single garment that I can wear snowboarding and I can wear hiking and I can just wear like around class, like over the wetsuits. Yeah. And so like I had like $600 in my bank account. And I was like, I'm going to spend all of this on a sample. Yeah. I'm going to figure out what this is going to look like. And then I'll just like launch a Kickstarter and see if it worked. And then
you were 20, 21 at the time?
19.
19? Yeah. Nobody does that at 19. Nobody has like, I'm going to spend my $600. Like, I'm going to spend it on video games or something fun or, you know. Holy cow, not like I'm going to buy one sample of one coat and try to make a business out of it.
Yeah, I feel like a part of it was just like not having as much fun or like, I don't know, engagement in classes and stuff. And I was like, okay, I feel like I have to do something,
totally.
You know.
Did you end up having more or just one coat made and then the company was ended?
So I made one and then I convinced my professor to pay for the next prototype.
Sure. So you're in business college, I take it.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah. And then essentially like, I did 2 samples and then talked with the factory, made sure that we could get it made. Yeah. And then launched it. Yeah.
Badass. Yeah. Joined Starvups.
Yeah.
And now you're still kind of a part of Starvups. I mean, John Freese is literally one of the most enigmatic characters in my life. It's like he seems very wealthy, but in many ways he's homeless or lives in an art pod. And he like helps all these businesses, and I'm like, what do you do day to day, man? Because he always messages back. Like a lot of busy people like never have time to text you back or call, but he's like always present, always there. I'm like, are you 3 people? Like, were you born as triplets and somehow you just like send one off to go to work and then you just kind of chill? I don't get this guy.
I like want him to be my spirit animal, but I don't know if like I have that in me to like
Kenzie
make that be my spirit animal.
That'd be Kenzie and I's wish too. He's probably everyone's spirit. Everyone just sees John. He's like this, just literally like
a magnet.
Yeah, a magnet. Like you just want to walk toward him and be like, I want to talk to that guy. No, I texted Nicole Appellian because I told her I'd send her John Freese's episode on the show. I'm like, well, his episode might not air, and it was just a video of everyone in the room. I'm like, here's proof that you and him are magnet people, because as soon as he like started walking up to my room, everyone else just kind of came up with him.
Yeah.
It's interesting to be in the presence of people like that where you're like, whoa, dude knows what he's doing. And he makes killer CBD. I'm going to light up a joint right now.
Yeah, I'm going to have some too. Yeah, it's almost like it's a unique combination of just excitement, but then also being genuine, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's one of the things that I could always work on, just being better, you know?
Oh, for sure. And you're in a position where you are working with the CBD company, but you have the hardest job in the world because you have to make TikToks, but you're not allowed to smoke in TikTok. I tried to air a clip from the show, and it literally wouldn't air just because I was smoking this. I was like, that's dumb. Come on.
Kidding. Yeah. It's like if there's a joint barely in it, can't show. If there's flour barely in it, can't show. Just flip switch like that. Oh, nice. It's so restricted. Mm-hmm. TikTok is such an amazing platform.
It's a good one. It's funny that
if you can scale.
In some ways, we are both working by making TikToks. Like, you do other things. You also, like, upkeep a website or something like that?
Yeah, it's like I haven't made a TikTok in probably 6 weeks just because there's been so much going on elsewhere. Like, we're mostly, for our marketing, it's like events, organic social, but then also ambassadors and influencers. Yeah. So that's been kind of my primary focus is, like, in addition to branding, development campaigns, like website updates, all that stuff. It's like, okay, how do we get a team of like kick-ass ambassadors to really like take this thing to the next level?
Are you single? Do you use it for like flirting with like really beautiful? Like, hey, you must be an Instagram model. Do you want some free CBD just for being so attractive?
No, maybe if I was. I've been married, and my wife and I.
You're married?
Met in high school.
Holy cow!
Yeah, we.
So you've been married like 7, 8 years?
3.
3. Oh, you've been together like 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's nuts, man.
Yeah. So we dated all through college and stuff. So we didn't like rush it like a lot of those people that like get married out of high school do, you know.
We're just about 5 years in and we haven't gotten married either. We wear the ring as a joke.
Oh, no kidding.
# fuck the government and fuck God. No, I'm kidding.
I know, I'm not being very compliant with my side of the
deal. Also, they're just fun, and it's like, it's nice to be like in a position where you know when you're like in a group of people, you like no one thinks you're flirting with them.
Yeah.
It's just so comforting to be like, oh, cool, I'm in a relationship. Who the fuck cares, you know? Mm-hmm. I really like that part of being like in a relationship or married or whatever you want to call it. That is like nice. It's not like this weird like, oh, I'm talking to this person. Are they flirting with me? It's like, well, they shouldn't be, and they know I'm not with them.
Exactly. That whole dynamic, which could really like just weird people out or just really change things and lead a different conversation is
absolutely.
I just forgoed the ring. Like I had a ring.
Really?
So my dad initially lost his ring a while back, and then he bought an exact replacement, and then he gave me the replacement, but that was too big.
Because he found the original?
Yeah. And then I almost lost it like 6 times. And so I was like, I'm going to get a tattoo. I'm never going to think about putting the wedding ring on.
Your wife's name start with K?
Yeah, Kira. Mm-hmm.
Kenzie. That's hilarious. Yeah. If we both just had matching K's one day, we'd be like, whoa, that's weird. I swear to God, we're not gay for each other. We have wives.
Yes.
we didn't
gay.
Yeah. We didn't get matching tattoos. It's a completely different thing. You don't get it.
We did, but, you know, it kind of just went both ways. So we figured we'd make it work.
When I last saw you, we met at PIR. Mm-hmm. It was great to meet you because I've kind of met you online. And I was giving Nicole Appellian's son a book called The Greatest Salesman in the World. Did you ever buy a copy of it by chance? Do you want a copy right now?
Do you have an extra one? Because I don't want to take it from you.
Too many copies.
Too many?
I may sign it before I give it to you.
Yes, please. Cool. Is that one of the 50 that you've purchased?
I've given... I bought 70 and I've given 65 or 66 away. This will be 66 or 67. I've kind of lost count. Someone who came on the show recently, I invited him on the show because he bought 5 copies and gave them away. Based just off of like kind of following my Instagram stories, he was like, oh, that's cool, I'll buy it. And then he was like reading it with his dad and he was buying it for his friends. I'm like, cool. So I don't know, should I count those in? Am I like 81, 71?
That is the highest praise I think you could ever give for a book.
Is to buy 80 copies. And the guy isn't even alive, so it's not even like I'm supporting someone. Maybe his family.
Yeah.
I know, it's a trip though.
So what is the overall gist of it again?
It's about how to be a bad person and get away with murder. It's the first 50 pages. This will actually be good because I gave a copy to someone 2 months ago and he never read it, but it was like sitting there. I think he knew exactly where it was. And he's like, yeah, you telling me it takes 10 months to read really like took me away from it. And then once I explained it, he's like, oh, so it like breaks the fourth wall in a cool way. Yeah. The first 50 pages are about like a poor person being trained by the greatest salesman ever, like the biggest, like the emperor of pretty much the East Indian Trade Company.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, eventually like I'll pass these 10 scrolls down onto you. And then after page 50, it turns from a fiction story into the scroll marked 1. And there's 10 scrolls, and you read each one right when you get up in the morning, right after lunch, and right out loud before you go to bed at night.
Oh.
And I expected to maybe give it up in a week, but like 1 month in, I loved it so much that I bought 10 copies, started giving away. Kenzie got on the train, so she's exactly 1 month behind me.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
She's on scroll 5, I'm on scroll 6. So I've been doing it for a half a year. And you can.
I'm so excited.
Zubair just read it all the way through. Like a lot of people just read it all the way through, if we're being honest. But
which you can
if you're a little. No, I'm kidding. It's totally reasonable. I think most people like just see that as so daunting. Like, why the fuck would I want that? I think the whole point of it is like to build the habit of reading.
Well, I'd imagine taking in less makes you or helps you focus on a smaller amount of information more, which makes you digest it a lot better. Like I feel like that with more dense reading is really valuable.
What's the dense reading you've done with that?
Well, like I just started Atomic Habits, and so I feel which I saw on the wall here, and I feel like with a book like that, it's like, okay, read a little bit, focus on how you can build it into your routine, and then move on. Versus if you just power through that, you're not gonna get all you can from it.
Kenzie and I started like slowing down. We're like, all right, we're gonna have a habit scorecard that we're gonna fill out every day, and we're gonna do point and call, and then because of like stopping it so much, we just stopped reading the book and it fell off. I was reading that and 0 to 1 at the same time, and I completely dropped off that book, finished 0 to 1, and then I moved on to The Celestine Prophecy, which Mike Lokes, not Sandy Monroe, but Sandy Monroe's president, suggested that book.
Oh,
cool. I finished it. I would give you these 2 books at the same time, but I would encourage you to just read 1 instead if you get 2 at the same time.
I've read 0 to 1 as well.
Nice.
Really
I was going to say this.
Oh, the other one?
Yeah. 0 to 1's great, though.
Yeah, I'll take a picture of that.
Nice.
Buy it on Amazon. Or support a local bookstore.
You'll take a picture of it and pretend to buy it on Amazon.
Yeah.
I'll see you a month later. Nah. It's like $6.
What is it, like Spark Notes? That gives you like a 1-page summary of every book out there.
Notes,
yeah, there you go.
I'll get the gist of it. That is kind of a book you can get the gist of it. The trip is that's also half fiction, half reality. Kind of like this. Or half fiction, half nonfiction. But more or less, like, I don't know, man. Falling in and out of a habit, I found is just the thing that I may be the worst at in life. Because this is the one thing I've held for a long time. But, like, trying to read other books, like, as soon as I finished one book, I wait, like, a month before I start up another book. It's not like I'm someone who, like, just, like, it's my daily habit to pull out a book for 5 minutes every day. I don't know how you build a habit like that. I literally just forget. Like, we've been doing this 6 months. Kenzie and I still catch each other. Like, wait, did you read this morning? And where it's like, how would we forget that? We've been doing it literally for hundreds of days.
Yeah.
Habits are nutty, man.
Oh, I know, and they're the maker or breaker of life.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like if there's certain things that take a little bit of time to do, the only way that I'll do it is like if I wake up first thing in the morning. It's like I take my dog out and then I read if I have a specific like learning book, and then I meditate and I journal if I'm on it. But if I don't do it before work first thing in the morning, that will not happen.
What you just said right there sounds like my ideal self that night telling me what tomorrow me is going to do. I'm like, I'm going to wake up and walk and meditate. And then I wake up in the morning like, last night me is literally the dumbest person ever. And then I just like go back to sleep. I'm like, what an idiot. Who would think I have that much motivation? And then I sleep until 2 again.
Yeah, what time are you guys going to bed?
6 a.m.
6 a.m.?
Yeah.
It goes around. And then we get it better, and then we hang out and party with people, and then we're up to 6 a.m. again, and we're like, why do we even switch back our schedule? Because we both have really flexible, like, we could just get the work done whatever hours, you know?
Right.
We have to have a couple hours of sunlight, but it's like, honestly, we feel better with sunlight, but...
Way better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got up at like 10 a.m. today. I'm crushing it.
She's crushing. I had to return a FUV today. You've driven FUVs around, though?
No.
Really?
I want to so bad.
What?
I want to so bad.
We should go next door.
They have one?
Yeah, that's Mark. Right, he lives right there.
He lives right there?
He lives right there.
For some reason I thought I saw you there.
Like, is this like one of the first time you've been to Eugene in a while?
Yeah.
Mark and Zubair live right next to me.
Whoa.
Yeah. Nutty, isn't it?
Wild.
I know. 1 month after meeting them, we moved in the next month.
Wait, when did you meet them?
3 months ago.
That's it? Oh, whoa, okay.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
I know. I've been like asking some people, I'm like, do you guys always like befriend people this quickly? And they're like, yeah, sometimes. I'm like, Jesus, what? Like, I've met Kenzie and I've been that quick of friends of life. But like most other people, it's like you like hang out with them for a year and then you still never talk to them.
Right.
You know?
Right. Especially nowadays.
Yeah, I know. Seriously, like I'm starting like as I'm inviting people on the show, I'm like, these people used to be like hang out with every day or like once a month, and now I like text them once a year. I'm like, at least I still have this to like reconnect with people. But I'm like, it's like you have to have a reason to hang out with people anymore. Because if you're like, oh, let's hang out, it's like, what are we gonna do? Play video games or go on a walk or what do you do at our age? Hanging out with friends? I guess you have all these sports in the world. You're a sports guy.
I feel like going surfing is the easiest way to hang out with people, and because of that, it's like the people that I go surf with, I develop much stronger relationships with over like a shorter period of time. Because it's the perfect excuse.
So I've never surfed. I'd imagine surfing on the Oregon coast sucks. Do you tend to like fly somewhere once a year to like get some good surfing in, or do you just eat the crow and just go in freezing waters all year round.
Yeah, announcement, surfing in Oregon sucks, so don't come up here.
Yeah?
No, it usually sucks. Yeah, it's like good waves are typically on like a reef break where because there's a physical reef under the water, like there's a consistent place that the wave is going to break. Makes much cleaner waves. It usually makes it easier to get out. Oregon is just like sand bottom. So, which means because the sand's constantly moving, it's like the waves are going to break really inconsistently. Mm-hmm. When it gets big, it's going to get really blown out. Like I went last weekend and the forecast called for like up to 10-foot waves. And I just got my ass like handed to me.
Yeah.
Absolutely kicked. Like I was the furthest one out in the lineup, which means like I'm furthest out in the water by a little bit. Yeah. And this massive wave comes in, like breaking way outside everyone because it's so inconsistent.
Like, there's that one TikTok audio of someone explaining it exactly like you are. Either of you came across that? And he's like, and you hit the pal like kapow, and then you're shredding it like, and like people just do it with like everything. Like, sorry, it immediately came to mind. I'm like, damn, if only I remember that like word for word.
Yeah, you're the furthest one out. Smack the lip.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank God. I was like,
you're so pitted. So pitted.
Kapow. Okay. Anyways, you're the furthest one out.
Oh, anyway, and it just like decimates all of us because it's huge. It broke way further out than anyone expected to. We all start paddling, like frantically try to get underneath it. Went down the washing machine, popped my head back up. Another one wrecks me. Go through the washing machine again. At this point, like I'm so freaked out. Then can't even catch one in because it's breaking right on top of you. So you have to keep trying to like duck underneath them.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it gets. I don't know. It wasn't that big of a day compared to like people that are like professional surfers, especially big wave surfers. But
if that was 10-foot day, what's like the highest? Like where it's 15, would you just not even go out that day?
Yeah, I won't go above.
What if
10.
it was like warmer, better water where there's a break, like Hawaii, 15-foot wave? Like, is it because it's more like reliable and warmer and just like, is it better?
It's better.
Weird,
it's way better.
Random fucking 30-degree. It's like literally should be freezing. So like you're just not like because your face is out of the wetsuit, right? That's like the only part.
That's it.
And is your nose just like ice? You don't even notice.
It's not that bad.
It's not that bad?
It's not that bad. You get good circulation.
Yeah. Well, we have horrible circulation. Our feet and hands are cold all the time.
Okay.
No, it sounds like my nightmare.
Yeah. No. You get the booties and gloves on.
It's not even the cold. It's just the whole concept of, like, being kept under the water.
Oh, yeah.
Like...
And that's the thing. It's like skiing, snowboarding, unless you're in an avalanche, like, you can pause if you're scared. But surfing, you can't do that.
You have one of those things that's, like, on your wrist where you can pull it and, like, inflates like an airbag?
I don't. I'm just not that good.
It seems like if you're not that good, you'd want that, right?
Well, it's like I'm just not doing things that are big enough yet. But yeah, like those guys and gals that are like going out. I don't know if you guys have heard of like the big breaks, like Pipeline or well, maybe not so much Pipeline, but like Nazaré and stuff. Actually. Oh, there you go. Yeah, they're all wearing
that. So we know a little bit. Big Z.
That is low-key like one of the best animated movies of all time.
It's a good movie. It's a joke, but it's also a good movie.
I am all about Surf's Up.
Thank you. No, we don't know almost any. I mean, I know some big wave surfers. One on Joe Rogan. I listen to them. Like, it just wasn't. I want to go surf. I surfed once on the West Coast. We were in Hawaii, and I kind of wanted to go. I guess the benefit of not having the reefs is you don't have to get scared of hitting the reefs. Yeah. So there's like pro and con to it. Again, I just don't get in cold water. I'm just one of those people where I look at it, I'm like, I could do anything today.
Is it mostly the discomfort, or is it being maybe freaked out about, like Kenzie was saying,
getting column A, little column B.
Yeah.
But a big part of it is like, for some reason, like I'm in a float tank, so I'm in like 90. It's supposed to be like 94. And they have it set at like 92, and I'm like start like almost like shaking. I get like free. It's like 92-degree water, but I'm in there for 3.5 hours on substances. But like my body's just like, why am I being slowly drained of energy? So I mean, and like when we went down to El Sargento and I don't remember the bigger place where the tiger sharks. We went into the Baja Strip, and it was like warm water. It was warm water, and we were in it for like literally 20 minutes, and we just like come out freezing. And we have like wetsuits on, or maybe they're not that good at wetsuit stuff, not that good, thin ones. But yeah, so I don't know. Like if again, we might. There's a strong chance we're gonna end up in Hawaii, and then we'll take it up. The one vivid memory I have of surfing is not wearing a shirt, and my nipples just red. red for an inch around them.
Right.
Oh, it's not even just me. That's everyone, isn't it? There's nothing you can do. The surfboards are made to cause it.
Yeah, it's the full. For me, it was everything.
Oh,
the
really?
Well,
Does everyone
not
try
abs,
it one day?
Really exist, but yeah, the ribs, the nipples, everything. And then what's the vicious cycle that was in The Office? Did you guys ever watch that show?
Oh, yeah,
about the
Andy
nipple
with
chafing?
the runner, yeah, and they chafe because, yeah. They're vicious. So you just have to stop surfing. Because does everyone just like, well, maybe I'm the exception. I don't have to wear a shirt when I surf. And then everyone learns their lesson. Like, nah, fuck.
Every couple weeks there'll be someone out there doing that, and it's just like, why?
Why?
Because the way that the tides
Especially
work around Oregon too,
Yeah.
So the way that the swells come in is that water's coming from the north in the summer, and so it's like almost as cold, just not as cold as it is during the winter.
Yeah.
So people are doing that in the summer still, just crazy if it was like January
So
and you're doing that.
Pretty much, 60 degrees all year round?
Less, yeah.
And you haven't seen, like, sharks. There's definitely no jellyfish in this water. So it's, like, pretty safe because of how cold it is.
I've seen jellyfish.
Really?
Yeah. Sometimes they just kind of come in herds.
Yeah.
But like a couple weeks ago, there was jellyfish everywhere.
Nice.
Yeah.
Not nice. Get the fuck out of there. I've gotten stung by a man-o-war jellyfish. I was in the Yucatan of peninsula of Mexico, and it was like a shell, and I grabbed it. I was a little kid, so I'm like, I didn't know how to tell people. I grabbed his conch, and it was just like freaking out, and they just poured vinegar on it, and then I had to go get a big shot from like some weird, sketchy hospital. But ever since then, I'm like, do not like jellyfish. I don't know if I'm allergic to it. It was like a man-o-war, so I don't know if they're that bad where it's like, it just kind of kept like red and like was just moving up my arm. They're like, yeah, you don't want to let it get to your heart. I'm like, do something.
Yeah.
And like,
someone pee on this stats.
And they poured vinegar, like, this is a better version of that. And then they're just like, I'm like, the thing to do, drive the kid and be like, oh, it's all good, kid. Yeah, that pain, it'll go away in like an hour. Don't tell them, yeah, you better be worried.
Cardiac arrest is like an hour and a half away.
I know. It's like,
Nothing happens.
You can do. You're like 10. You're just standing there like, fuck. What? Oh, my God. Kids should never have anything to be afraid of or mortality. I think we should do the most we can until someone turns like 15. Like, don't tell them, like, yeah, if you're walking out at night, someone can murder you. Like, just let kids be kids and just try to, I don't know. Then they get in bad situations. We're caught in a constant cycle. Maybe we won't even be able to have kids with the way the world's going, but if it does and we have kids, I don't know. It's really interesting to think how you'd raise it most optimally, you know? I mean, you're together with your wife for, like, are you very, like, Christian or Mormon or anything?
No.
Nothing?
No.
But are you guys going to, like, so you're not, like, getting together religiously and going to have kids really early?
I think we're looking to have kids.
Nice.
Yeah, at some point. Not now.
Plural. You hear that, babe? 3.
7 or 8.
7.
No, I grew up in a family with 7 kids.
Wow.
Yeah.
You have 6 brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm the only boy, too.
So you have 6 sisters.
6 sisters.
Wow.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That's nutty.
And we love our family, but I don't think any of us want that many kids.
No. Who would?
I mean, it's just ridiculous. Like, it's...
Are they mostly older or younger than you?
I'm the second oldest, and then, yeah, all of them are younger.
Bummer. Because if you were the youngest, it's like your whole life you would have just had like a bunch of girls coming over to your house and hanging out, and they're all like a couple years to like 5 years older than you. You would have just been like, oh, you would have been the man. It would have been hilarious.
Yeah, I know.
Younger sister's not really that
yeah,
vibe.
you can't really do it that
well,
way.
A couple people
one
commented
direction.
on that, like with my my closest sister Rose underneath me, because she's 3 years younger than me. But like, when you're 12, or like when you're like, 9-year-old's friends are not in that age range for that to happen. Even, like, if you're 18, 15 is not the age range.
Age stops
no.
mattering after 30. Like a 30
after
and a
30,
3-year-old, they're the same age. But like a 20-year-old and a 20, I guess, no, maybe after 20. I don't know. The age gap
25.
definitely gets bigger. 25,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's posted to Reddit where it's like, would you get mad at your like friend if he was like 26 dating a 19-year-old? I'm like, I don't know. Maybe not really. It just seems weird. Like, I don't know. I've been on Reddit way too much lately. I woke up and the first thing I did was see that one of the crypto. Like, do you do crypto at all?
I have like $1,500 in crypto. So like
mostly
very little.
Ethereum or Bitcoin or one
half. Bitcoin, Ethereum.
That's what I always did.
Okay.
I always have half and half in Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Yeah.
But then there was one called Solana that was like just going up really fast, and like a bunch of people in like the circle kind of like were like, oh yeah, we'll get on it. And today it's like it went down for 9 hours. So then I'm like, I don't know. I've just been on Reddit too much. It got me into it and it got me away from it. I just need to defragment my mind from all this chaos and stuff. I've been sick for a while now, honestly, for like about 3 or 4 days. I got the J&J vaccine. Not like actually sick.
Yeah.
I got the J&J vaccine and the symptoms are just like lessening ever so. Like that first night I was fine. I went out and drank and partied like an idiot.
That'll help.
And I was completely fine. And it was like 4 a.m. and I'm like shaking and shivering and a throbbing headache. Did you get J&J or
Moderna? I was shivering, like I was shaking for hours.
I wanted I had to be like undercover sweating for me to not be shivering. I'd get up to get water and be like, oh my god. I was like Googling. I'm like, is this the serious symptom? And it's like, nah. I'm like, okay, fuck. That was a brutal night's sleep. It was a ton of Advil, ton of but anyways. So maybe I like kind of promoted it to be that bad, but anyways, it's been like the next day was quite a bit better, and now I just have like kind of like a scratchy throat. Like yesterday I still had a headache, but it was like less bad than. I'm like, fuck. I don't know why. I know why I put it off this long. I'd always tell people like, oh, you believe like some conspiracy theory? I'm like, I don't want to go get sick for a day, and it's like guaranteeing you're gonna feel like shit for at least a day. And so I just kept putting it off and putting it off and putting it off, and got to the point where like Mark and then the mandate with big companies is like you have to have it. I'm like, all right. So I went and got it like the next day after the mandate went down, or like the day of.
And now you're over it.
And now,
yeah, it's done.
Yeah, it's okay. I wanted to stay the good fight of like, man, fuck big pharma, but I don't know. It just comes in such messy territory, and that's like everyone. The main reason I got it, I was out there, I was talking to someone, and Galileo from Hyperchange was sitting right there, and the guy's just sort of like interrogating me about it. I'm like, dude, I don't care. I have no strong stance on it. I'm happy Kenzie's got it. My parents have got it. I promote other people to get it. I just haven't got it up till now. And he just like wouldn't let it go for like 30 minutes. I'm like, this is causing a lot of awkward situations for me where like people who I would be much for like having funner conversations with, like these weird people just like corner me and force me to talk about a medical decision. I'm like, the fuck?
Yeah.
I don't know. At the end of the day, what I want to tell them, like, bro, you're 60 with like 5 health problems. If you were 23, 24 without a health problem, you'd probably be a lot less concerned. And like my parents have it, so I'm not going to get that mistake. That was a big worry. Like the whole pandemic until my like parents and grandma, cause like whenever I visit them, oh my god, if they didn't have vaccinated, like I didn't go out at all, and if they still weren't, I don't think I'd go visit them, because that would be heartbreaking. That would be just brutal. But anyways.
Oh yeah, no. Two of my sisters have pretty like severe health issues where like if they got sick, it could be pretty bad.
Wow.
Like my younger sister Emily, so she's adopted from China. And she, like, they thought she might have had tuberculosis.
Oof.
When we, like, picked her up, which would have led to us having to leave, her having to stay in country for, like, up to a year, and then us having to go back to get her. Thankfully, it was just, like, really unhealthy lungs from inhaling a lot of black mold as a kid. And she grew up in just, like, horrible environments.
Your whole family flew there to go get her?
Not all of us.
Okay.
I want to say like 4 of us. Like my parents did, and then I did, and
your
then
parents have
2 of my
6
sisters.
kids, and then like more, and your wife's like no more, and then they're like, let's go to China, let's go adopt one. That's nutty.
You know, it's like to most people it is nutty, but honestly, to them it's like, okay, we have the ability to take in a child that would otherwise live a shitty life.
And that makes sense for someone with no kids or 1 kid or 2 kids. But once you're up at 6, it's like, I mean, the financial cost aside, like the amount of time and energy it'd take to make food for 6 kids, and then like bring on a 7. I mean, maybe it gets easier. Maybe it's like a law of numbers at that point where you're like, fuck it, 7 or 8 kids, same amount of spaghetti.
Exactly. And like us older kids were doing so much of the parenting too.
Oh, were you?
Not to say that like our parents were slacking by any means, because they were doing a ton, but it's like, when you're an older kid in that environment, you take on a lot of responsibility.
So youngest one's how much, like 10 years younger than you?
Yep. Whew. So she's 14, 11.
And you're 25.
Yeah.
Whew. 11 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's nutty. And so I take it that's what the 7 tatted right there is?
Yeah,
Kids.
I got this. 2 of my other sisters.
I saw and I was going to be curious. And you just start adding more.
I just wrap around.
Mom, this is getting weird. Just go home for a family reunion. There's like a Ugandan kid, another Chinese kid, and just like, all right, where's my hair? You're like doing the math. My hair is gonna be split. That's 11 ways. Not banking on that anymore. I mean, that was the big joke. It was one of the Jenners just got pregnant again, and it's like little Stormy Kardashian doesn't know her just inheritance got cut in half, and it's like, oh, that's crazy to think. Like, like from $1 billion to $500 million, like just oof. Rough existence.
What a rough life.
Yeah. Seriously, what a rough life. It would be weird, to be fair, to grow up and be like, oh, no, you can't have, like, just regular friends, and you can't just, like, go out in public because people will kidnap you for ransom money. And all your friends' parents want something from us. Like, like, it would be a cool way to grow up, but fuck, if that's not, like, deforming to a child's mind, you know?
I would way rather grow up, like, normal, like I did.
Yeah.
Like, hands
But
down.
subtly rich.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, how about that rich, way less famous, and not evil? Like, you know?
Yeah, I wish my family were, like, trash bag, like, tycoons or something, or just something super unsexy.
Yeah, but, like,
but loads of
That's
money.
so funny.
When I meant, like, non-evil, I meant, like, not that they were evil, but evil in the sense of, like, it seems like non-famous people get rich by, like, promoting plastic. Like, I would, like, if you, like, look at your family dynasty and you, like, see all these hundreds of millions of dollars and you, like, look in the ocean, you see, like, literally the plastic bag with your family's name on it, you'd be like, oh, for what?
Yeah, that probably wasn't the best example because I was just trying to come up with a normal, boring product. Yeah. But, yeah.
Like a green screen company. I want to get a bigger one. For like making TikTok content for Fubs. I want to like park a Fub on it, and I'll have Kenzie hold it up behind it, and just be like, and it's like in space. So I'm like, I'm coming up with one a day, and so I'm like, after a while, like I made like probably 90 now. I'm like, I don't know how long this is sustainable for. Like, can I just come up with a new video of a Fub every day for 5 years?
Yeah, it's almost like you have to like put in some sort of like storyline or something. Like
that would be hilarious, actually. I mean, there's like TikToks tend to be so like you just don't. Do you go on TikTok or do you just start making content? And you never go on it.
I go on like maybe every other day for 10 minutes.
Your entire feed, well, it's just like girls dancing. I have some friends who are like that, and I mean, it's just interesting. I'm like, mine's just memes. Yours is literally half naked women. I'm like, that's interesting feed change, but none of mine still like they're all just like one-off jokes. Like I guess there's a couple accounts like more or less you follow someone, you don't see all their videos, so like the storyline may not hit, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Do you like running? Do you run all their social medias, their website, TikTok, and stuff like that?
So we have Jesse, who's our social media manager, and he oversees most of the posting directly. And then he works with Genevieve, who is doing most of the copywriting, putting a lot of the content together. And then essentially, like, you know, I oversee a lot of the mechanisms, like what happens there. But mostly, like, Jesse and Genevieve have taken it off my hands recently, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Because it allows me to focus on just, like, other campaigns and whatnot.
Nice. So you like, do, like, Google AdWord and you, like, see, like, oh, what words, like, hit and stuff like that?
It's, like, a million different things.
Not to get super into the nitty-gritty, but as much as you, like, can, because I'm, like, I do kind of this kind of work, and I'm really interested, especially, like, as like I get more money, I could eventually start like promoting the show using like Facebook ads or Google AdWord and stuff. And I honestly I put ads on Spotify. So like when you're listening to music and there's like ads that came up between, you would get some for my podcast for a while. And then it was like, ads are expensive. Yeah. Ads are like the most expensive thing you can spend money on because it's like, oh well, 10,000 people saw it, and there goes a couple $100. It's like what?
Yeah. How much were you paying for like a click over to the show?
I think I paid per impression or played per play. It didn't honestly.
Play, yeah, okay.
Yeah. And I kind of fucked up because I did it so like my album on Spotify and my podcast are on two different like artist accounts, and I asked them. They said no, you can't merge podcasts and music. And so the person who was like a verified artist who could like promote on it, as not like a formal company, was my artist page. So I think when anyone clicked it, it went to my shitty album instead of my shitty podcast.
Got it.
So like after I paid the money, I'm like, what was I mean, honestly, the podcast got a lot of subscribers on Spotify, so I think people listened and specifically like searched it and then found it because I tried to make it as funny as I could. I'm like, sorry for like ruining your music experience, but here's a shitty podcast you might enjoy if like the Joe Rogan podcast too, bro. Like pretty much like I just made it a joke. I'm like, why don't people just call ads what they are, you know?
I love it.
It was so funny, honestly.
How do you do you find trouble in like finding like campaigns and ways to advertise CBD? Because like there's so much misinformation about it. The legality is still a little tricky. It's like there's so many things that are just like would be kind of like barriers and red tape, you know?
Yeah, and actually that's reminding me that I want to light this back up again. So CBD space is moving very quickly from a regulatory perspective. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of things happening in a lot of different states, and it fluctuates quite a bit. Yeah. Because it's still it's unclear at a federal level what's going to be happening in the near future. Big tech platforms are being very conservative. So if you have smokable CBD, smokable CBG, smokable hemp in general, Google, which also includes YouTube, Facebook, which also includes Instagram, are not going to let you do any paid advertising. Same with Twitter, Pinterest. Yeah. TikTok won't even let you show the product or talk about it.
So once I start, if the show ever gets to a place, again, that's not really my goal, But if the show gets to a place where it's like, oh, because natively, once you get a certain amount of viewers, they automatically start giving you money for it. But if I'm smoking this on the show, then I literally won't be able to get money for it, will I? That's interesting. Unless the laws literally change.
Yeah. I don't know, because I know it is for specifically, like, if you're running an ad campaign, but I don't know if they'll actually demonetize you if you have it in the show. I think that would probably be, like, an extra step that wouldn't necessarily make sense.
Joe Rogan's show would smoke straight up weed, like blunts and stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, could you imagine just throwing away all the money from one episode of that? That's probably like $5-6 million, like, per episode.
Yeah.
So it'd be like, I doubt they do. Maybe, we'll have to figure out the workaround. So do you have, like, a way that you think legislation's going? Do you, like, keep up to date on that stuff?
Relatively up to date. Like, there's a new bill that just got passed in California that's opening things up quite a bit for CBD. And
nice.
But it's happening super fast, which is super exciting because it needs to. And I think culturally as well, we're at an inflection point where cannabis as a whole used to be seen as a drug. Yeah. And drugs used to be seen as bad across the board. Like, there wasn't a big difference in a lot of people's mind between cannabis, cocaine, a lot of, like, more serious type stuff.
Yeah.
But now we're not only breaking down the difference between, like, THC and other drugs, and you know, THC being pretty low key. Like, to be honest, like obviously people talked about how no one's ever died from THC overdose.
But man, people have gotten bored of talking to people on THC. It's funny. I always used to be the person, like, when I was younger, I'd be like high stoned. I'd be like, what do you mean you don't like people and stoned? And now I get it, where I'm like talking to people who are stoned, and I'm like, I almost want to put a thing out where when I invite people on the show, like, unless you're like someone who smokes 24/7, where it's like just you at this point, please don't come on the show stoned. Because I've had people come on and it's kind of like zone out listening to me talk. I'm like, okay, fuck. You know? I mean, I brought someone. I was gonna like take a video of showing a friend a pub yesterday.
Yeah.
And I go, I'm like, okay, like, you ready to drive, man? He's like, oh, I'm stoned. I'm like, fuck. So I couldn't take a video of him riding it. Like, so many like reasons where I'm like, there's subtle little way. And honestly, thank God he told me something rather than driving the vehicle
for sure.
stoned. But I'm like, you know what? I'm starting to become like, I was and probably still am one of the biggest advocate of like most drugs. But like now I'm starting to get it where I'm like, you know what? Drunk people, stoned people, people get kind of annoying to talk to for sure.
Yeah.
And they're just like, we're on the same level here, man. I'm like, we're not, bro. I'm wanting to leave subtly. People just stop reading social cues. Like, there's such a social cue. If we were sitting here, I was like, yeah, so. Like, and I was like kind of motioning that I was heading that direction. Like, you would be like, cool, well, let's head out. But some people would be like, and then they just start the next topic. I'm
they
like,
just get in front of you. Like, they just block the door.
Oh,
And they're just like,
God.
but really, you got to hear me. I'm like,
and maybe they're like that desperate for social interaction where they're like, I'm going to make it awkward for this person. They're going to have to beg me to leave.
Yeah.
I'm like, please, God, can I just leave? And they're like, what's your reason for leaving? I'm like, don't want to be here. No, there's some people who like do. I mean, one of the guests who actually surprisingly really liked having on the show, he came stoned as fuck, and he made for so many funny clips. Just because any joke I would do, he'd play off it so well. Whereas like sometimes sober people, like, should I get offended by this joke? Okay, how should I respond? And then they just like don't laugh. And I'm like, oh, but stoned people are like, yeah, fuck me, man. Or just like that, like the most universal thing I'm starting to like in people is people who just don't take themselves so seriously. They like the self-deprecating part of it. And CBD helps with that, man. Just chills the people out.
Yeah. Yeah, everyone's got to be right nowadays.
So do you see drugs differently? Like, or do you, like, would you think, I don't know if I'd have marijuana the same as, like, I mean, marijuana's more illegal than blow right now, but I'd have it like as illegal as psychedelics and blow, and just lower them all down one tier. Because I really don't want people driving on marijuana. Like, there are things that I want it to be like some level of regular. Like, I want people to not go to jail for it, but like, fuck, I don't want people driving on hallucinogens. And maybe that's not even a part of it. Maybe I'm just making that up. Like, if everything was fully legal, I guess alcohol's legal. I'm retarded. I'm a big dummy. As soon as I'm thinking about it. But anyways, man, what do you hope comes down the railway with CBD products? I mean, someone should make a Juul pod with CBD in it.
That is, on the roadmap for sure.
That'd be cool, wouldn't it?
Well, I mean, Juul's just exploded. I think I've used a Juul once or twice. Like, I've never had a Juul, but like but they're so common. It's so easy in terms of like actual like innovation.
You haven't been around John Freese and been like, hey, can I hit that?
No.
Really? We get off of them. Like, we're on it for weeks, and then we're finally like, okay, be gone, demon. And then we hang out with John Freese, and he's like hitting it, making it look so cool. I'm like, give me that head rush, man. They're just so nice.
Okay, I will say, half of my freshman year in college, I lived in a perpetual cloud of vape because my college roommate worked at a vape shop, was constantly vaping.
Yeah.
So although I probably only hit the vape 4 to 5 times, I was constantly just like had that in my system. So
just film everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Film. You don't even need perfume. Just have cotton candy like aura around you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. We were in a car and we like looked at, because like if you vape the Juul, like you get a head rush, but the littlest bit of amount of smoke.
Cigarette amount of smoke, you know.
That's
like that much comes out.
That's the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Versus vaping, which is a lot more like obnoxious.
You see these people with like these sub-ohm device in the car next to me, like boosh, and it like fills the car. I'm like, what? And I'm like, dude, I couldn't imagine how harsh that would be on your lungs.
I don't think that's better than cigarettes when you're getting to that level where it's like filling up the whole car.
And it's just like 3 breaths in a row. It's like constant.
Oh.
It was like, damn, dude.
People get down.
But yeah, next time you see John, you should be like, hey, Tiger said I should take a hit of that Juul for you.
Okay.
He literally was like, when we were all up at PIR, because Kenzie, I, Zoo, and like we were all hitting it, and he like, I think the story was he went up to Mark, he's like, all the kids just took all my pods, because we just like chief it down till it's dead. It's like dead sitting on a charger, and like we take it off and hit it and set it back on the charger. Charges up for like 2 hits. And again, I wasn't into nicotine until less than a year, probably like 6 months ago. I like started vaping and like enjoying nicotine, and I was always the person like, just stop smoking. Not even that hard. But now I'm like, oh, nicotine, I get it. I understand.
It's gripping.
It's gripping in a way that you just, what can you even do about it?
So what is it? Is it like the alertness of it?
I would say the best part of nicotine is that whatever other drug you're on, it amplifies in the best way.
Okay.
So like if you're drunk, it's great. If you're high, it's great. And then if you're just sober, it's just like a little head rush. Like you just start feeling a little tingly. It's like a minor whippet or like a nitrous kind of thing. It's almost like hardly noticeable in the big scheme of things, but it's just so, and again, it's just something to do. That's what I've noticed is the most harmful part of nicotine addiction for me is I'm like, I should be taking a substance to change my state of mind every 10 seconds. And that's why like things like vaping this like on the show, like, so we haven't vaped a Juul in a couple days now, but back when I was like, I'd be on the show and like I'd constantly be like drinking water, even like literally just drinking something just to be doing something.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's like the prop factor of like I'm not just sitting here, I'm like doing something. It's like, well, it's not great for you.
There's a massive part of like propping when you're like in a social situation of like, get it? I get to focus on this and maybe it'll draw your eyes. Yeah, it's like such a thing.
Well, it's like the whole process for a lot of people that like smoke cigs too. It's like going out, having a smoke break, being with people, or people that like smoke weed too. I mean, passing it around the circle or whatever. And that's like what we're trying to do. It's like, okay, how can we get a lot of the good stuff, like social interactions, hanging out with people, like figuring out what to do with your hands.
Oh, yeah.
You know, without some of the bad stuff.
That's why this is killer that he was like, hey, maybe you could use those. And I was like, at first I was like, what am I going to do with that many joints? And I'm like, dude, I could just smoke 1 or 2 every single time on the show. It's been a blast. And then I found these for like $2 because I was on a hunt. From the minute that I got some joints to smoke on the show, some Micahel CBD joints on the show, link in the description. I was pretty much on like a mad dash hunt. I'm like, okay, I don't just want to smoke them everywhere. I want it to be classy. So I got like the classy lighter, the classy this. I'm like, I want it to be like an experience.
Yes.
And then most guests come on the show, they're like, what's CBD? So this isn't going to get me high? Some people have the idea that it removes your high. Like, and I'm like, I don't know how true that is. People are like, no, I'm trying to go get fucked up later. I'm going to like take bong rips. I'm like, it's okay. You can smoke CBD. It just makes it better, man. I don't know. People are very interesting about stuff like that.
I feel like one of the beautiful things about just CBD gummies and tinctures and stuff is that it's opening more people up to like the non-THC benefits of cannabis as a whole. And then we can come in, because non-smokable products have made inroads with a lot of people, we can come in with the smokables too and say, this also has, the same health benefits.
Yeah.
Can be used to replace bad stuff. And I think there's a lot less baggage like with smokable CBD now because of that.
Oh, yeah. It's hard to convince me. Like, if I don't have this container and I were to hand this to someone, like, this is just CBD, I would never take that. It would be so hard to convince me. And that's the tricky part, is you only have so many of these glass things that it's like almost instead of like having a raw there, it should just say CBD.
Yeah.
Pure CBD. And I'm sure it's probably hard to make rolling papers or pre-rolls and stuff, but like if there's only a way of like proving to people, kind of like if someone like gives you any kind of free drug, you're always like, I don't care how good of friends we are. I'd like to test this because it's just like people just don't know, or people have like way different like standards than you. You know?
Yeah.
Something I'm coming to the realization of. But yeah, so occasionally people don't like honestly trust me, and I respect them for not like people. Some people freak out on weed. Let's be honest. I'm one of those people. We're around circles so often where people are like, no, just take a hit. Just take a hit of this joint. Take a like a bowl, and I like take it, and I like stop talking altogether. I get like really weird posture, like my back starts to ache, and I'm just like, I'm gonna go home now, guys. And I'm like, is that what you wanted? That's what I'm gonna start telling people who offer me weed. I'm like, is this what you want? Oh my god, it's too accurate, isn't it? And then I finally think of something funny to say, like someone like people are talking, and I'm like, all right, that would be really good to say, and I like convince myself, and then I word it, and then I say it, and it's like 2 sentences after the fact. It's so late. People are like, look over. It's like add up. I'm saying it just as someone else starts to say it. It's like it fucks up my time. It literally like lags me socially. Like I'm socially like I have a high ping or whatever they call it in like video games when you're just like a couple milliseconds later than everyone else. That's what weed does to me socially.
Yeah.
But alone, it's kind of nice. I don't. Do you get that like whenever you smoke weed? Do you just get like you just gotta like stretch and do dishes and fix your life? It makes me like really like realize how much is wrong with me. You know?
Really, I feel like it's more of just like, okay, what kind of Seth Rogen movie can I watch now? You know, I'm not a regular THC user, but like I feel like when it happens, it's like, okay, it's like 10 o'clock at night. I'm going to watch a funny movie, and then I'm going to go to bed.
Nice. So you're not one of those people, like, it's us, and I've said to a couple other people, a lot of people agree, when you're stoned watching a movie, do you not just see the actors very blatantly acting? Like, I have so much less immersion in the movie. I'm like, oh, nice, that's that. I'm like, I see the lighting, and it's like the movie, like, just fades away from the realism a little bit. So I'm like, I watch, like, maybe animated stuff, like Rick and Morty kills when you're stoned.
Oh, I love Rick and Morty.
Do you watch the new season?
Rick and Morty. Okay. A couple nights ago.
Yeah.
I couldn't sleep. Like, once a month, I'll just have a night where I don't fall asleep till 4 a.m. It's just like this regular thing.
Once a month we have a night where we sleep before 4 a.m. Fuck.
Anyways. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go back. I'm just gonna rewatch old Rick and Morty episodes. Nice. And then I see the entire new season. I had no idea it was out.
Score.
And so I just binged.
You binged it.
Nice.
Well, I watched 4 or 5 episodes that night, fell asleep watching it, and then I've been trying to savor the rest. So like I haven't watched anything else since then.
That's some self-control.
The last 3 episodes of the season are 3 of the best episodes of the show.
Really?
To look forward to. Just like the first episode was really good. Like the Nimbus. I was like, oh, that's a killer episode. Man.
Mr. Nimbus.
Mr. Nimbus. I don't know if you're watching like the after episodes. They like dissect what the episode's about, like with the writers and the director. Do you watch it on Adult Swim?
I saw it only for the Mr. Nimbus episode. I haven't seen it for any other episodes.
Interesting.
We've been watching it for all of them, and like this season had like some 3 or 4 best episodes of the series, aside from the Vafset episode in the previous season. But it also had a lot of the worst episodes of the season. I'm like not gonna name them because you haven't watched all of them. But I would say some of the worst episodes of the season, like they just like phoned it in, like a turkey episode and a giant incest baby episode. Like there's a couple episodes where I'm just like, what?
Didn't seem necessary.
And then the episode ends, and it's like, okay, Kenzie and I look at each other. We're never going to rewatch that episode. That was the worst one. And it goes to Dan Harmon. He's like, this is a very special episode to us. It was like the Planetina episode or something, where it's like literally so bad.
Would not have guessed.
Yeah, would not have guessed that it goes to...
His pride and joy for the season was that
We spent
episode.
a long time, figuring out how we're going to artfully put out this episode. I'm like, it's a shit episode.
Just put it out.
Just put it out.
Yeah, I don't have to say it's special.
But yeah, we're running near the end, so I'm curious because you're a person with a lot going on. Do you have like personal products or processes or like startup things that you're doing anymore if you're in startups?
All Metolius.
All Metolius,
pretty much.
Cool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought that Metolius gave you enough time to do your own thing. Like, you seem like someone who would be doing like your very own thing. You just like surfing and stuff like that.
Yeah, like surfing and all that type of stuff. And when I took the gig with Metolius, I was spending probably half of my time just learning and doing writing and data science. Nice. And then currently I'm working on a side gig essentially like an environmental AI company. So taking in and scraping wildlife species data from across the web and then building predictive models to be able to uncover solutions, essentially repopulations.
Didn't realize
based off of certain solutions.
So you code?
Just tell me about it.
You code?
Barely.
Oh, okay.
My code sucks.
Okay.
But it's very much like a side gig thing because it's like I'm not going to monetize that anytime soon.
That's
but it's
cool that
fun.
You're part of it, though. Yeah, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And So like with Micahel, just like to dig into it, because I'm really curious. Like, there's so many people that are like, yeah, I do like web development or I do data science, like all these stuff. It's so ethereal in the sense that it's so hard to pin down like what they do. Like, what's the benefit? Like if you had free time and I was in a place where I'm like, I'd like to hire you, what would you like offer a company? Like when someone's like looking, or like in case a company doesn't have your position filled and they're looking to fill it, like what does it do? You know?
For me, it's much less so like hardcore data science, and it's utilizing data to transform and then grow e-commerce companies. So it's like, how do we pair raw human creativity, ingenuity in terms of like creative people, creative teams, but then also be able to utilize numbers and like have some sort of like quantitative approach to like really solve big problems.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I live, like at the intersection of those two sides.
So like click-through rate, like you try to like let people make the website for fun, and then you like slowly alter it until like more people actually buy the product, like that kind of thing.
That's one of the things.
The way you just described it was such an outlier. I still don't understand it, man. It's like, I mean, do you, Kenzie, like, do you understand like what the like? So you improve their website to make it more like easier and more like magnetic for people to want to press the buy button. I take it
that could be part of it. Yeah. So like I do some of that where.
You lean in. I don't even know, man. Stop asking.
No, it's like, yeah, like web optimization.
I've used up all the buzzwords. Lay off, man. I do data
Innovation,
science.
technology.
Innovation. Disruptive.
Disruptive.
That's the key one.
Democratize.
We bring a disruptive new technology to your e-commerce company. Yeah, e-commerce, like with stuff like, so CBD doesn't go bad. Like you could have the stock a while later, right? Like, whereas another friend has food, and I'm like, dude, you went into a hard fucking business, man. If you're going to sell something that can go bad in 3 months, oof, you know?
No kidding.
I mean, coats, I guess, do they go out of style? Like, would you have, Becker and Anna, would you consider, like, that there was a shelf life for your coat?
No, because our whole thing was anti-fast fashion and anti-trends. So it was very simplistic in styling. But, yeah, like, CBD will be good for a while because all of ours is kept in a very climate-controlled, like, humidity-controlled environment. But if you put, like, a couple pre-rolls out on your dash on a 100-degree day, it'll get kind of fried. You know, it's all about just where you leave it.
Kind
just
of
like
fried
food.
Or can of fried?
Can of fried.
I've never heard of that.
C-A-N-N-A.
Yeah.
No, I didn't actually say that.
Oh.
Kind of fried.
Oh, is that like a thing? 'Cause I'm like, interesting. Like, I guess you can get, like, kind of stale and stuff like that. But cool, man. You got any, like, personal Twitters or, like, personal, like, stuff you'd want to promote?
At Micahel Hemp.
Wow. You don't promote your own stuff. You're not like a person. You
I'm
have
not
TikTok.
really a
It seems like you're like a personality. I was watching your TikToks you made from Micahel. I'm like, damn, this guy's got it going on. Like, you're on trends. You know. Like,
yeah,
you
your
make
trends
it happen.
were on point.
Oh,
Your trends were on
Yeah.
point. We can't use trends because we don't get the music. We only have copyrighted free like commercial music.
Oh.
So take away all the trends. So much like you're kind of like hands behind your back with you can't actually use the product. We have hands behind our back. We have to use like ringtones. Pretty much.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Because they turned it into a commercial account, or maybe it's automatically flagged as one. But for some reason, it's like only copyright-free music for you.
Yeah.
Fuck, man.
You should change it to a creator account.
I know. Should I even ask them, or should I just do it?
Just do it. That's what we do.
Thank you. Yeah, who will say anything? Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Boom. They're like, why are our analytics way worse all of a sudden? You guys, what's going on?
Nothing.
Yeah, I don't know who did that. Must have been
Updated
not
the
that
site.
other guy.
Strange.
But cool. Thank you very much for coming on the show, man. I appreciate it. Lots of love. Everyone follow Micahel Hemp at Twitter and on TikTok and on Instagram.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And if you take videos of it, send them into them. That's how I met him.
Thanks, guys.
Fun stuff. Lots of love, brother. Kenzie with the gong.
Goodbye.
Boom.
Dope, man. That was fun.
Yeah, that was sweet.